Break On Through, the podcast where we talk to up-and-coming musicians about their journey to the top, from where they started and where they're going. And today, we have Steve Macomber, my dad, again. That's cool. I actually like that. That came out good.
That's what I do in the house.
All right, here, I'll take it. I'll put it back. That was nice. I really enjoyed that. That sounded good.
Well, I thought you would.
So here we are again. It's nice to have you back.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. We just recorded the other one.
Yeah, that's all right, though, man. Got to get me when you can.
Yeah. So when we left off, we were talking about Destiny, and there was something that I didn't get to touch on that I wanted to.
What was that?
And that was the Les Paul.
Oh, you love that thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's tattooed on your arm. Like, that thing is forever memorialized.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So before we jump into the next set of bands and everything you did after Destiny, tell me the story about how you got your Les Paul.
There was a guy I knew, Steve Borges, and he wanted money, so he sold it to me for $400. It was 1978. It was a 76 Les Paul, and he sold it away to me.
Beautiful. I loved that guitar.
But it had the DiMaggio pickups in it. It wasn't just stock,
yeah,
you know?
But still.
And it was so good that I spent the 16 years in Destiny playing just that one guitar.
That guitar had some serious mojo.
And we had, for acoustic songs, I used an old Ovation with the fiberglass back.
See, I was actually, that was another thing I was wondering, because I have that picture of you. I don't know where you're playing.
That actually belonged to Paul.
The Ovation?
Yeah.
Oh, see, there was a picture. It was back when you had the Seymour Duncan convertible.
Oh, that was great.
But there's a picture, and you're holding the Les Paul, but there was an acoustic.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it. I was always wondered what that was.
Well, he had a good one, and I had an acoustic, but it wasn't that good. So he had that good acoustic, so we used that.
Oh,
we would do stuff like Nights in White Satin.
Nights in White Satin.
Which was all acoustic guitar for me.
I wonder if we're going to pick up the rain.
You might.
Nah, whatever. It'll give some ambiance.
And just let people know that it's pouring rain out, so it's more fun that way.
You know, it's Florida, so it happens. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure I touched on the Les Paul because
because we used it all for acoustic type songs.
The Les Paul was kind of like, in my opinion, it was like your signature guitar. It was always with you. People knew you by this guitar. I mean, it was such a big thing that you tattooed it on your arm.
Yeah, I had to get rid of it, and it was a shame.
Oh man.
I ran into some hard times and sold it for cash.
That should have been my guitar.
I didn't want to sell it, believe me, but we needed money.
Yeah.
Me and my wife.
I get it. You know,
I've had times where I've been dirt poor.
Yeah, life happens.
Like now.
Yeah.
But,
but
it was worth it to come to Florida.
I was going to say, you're dirt poor, but at least you got to be where you wanted to be.
I'm where I want to be now. So
it's a trade out.
I'm living alone and everything, but I'm where I want to be.
Hey, and now you have access to all kinds of guitars.
Right. You never think you're going to be alone, but there you are. You know.
You're not really alone.
No, I have people.
I live not far from
I have
you.
people.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're never going to really be alone. But I understand what you mean, going to bed at night by yourself.
I got people.
Yeah. So, the Les Paul, I mean, you had that through Destiny.
It was great.
You know, Destiny ends. Where are you at this point after Destiny ends? Then what happens?
Well, during Destiny the last few years, I was doing solo work. Drum machine, guitar, and me.
Yeah.
And then that just carried over, and I did that for another, 10 years.
I mean, these were the days of, like, I remember going out.
10 years.
As a young guy, going to watch you play in, like, bars.
Once you were legal, you came.
Oh, yeah.
But Blinks.
Coming out to get hammered and watch you play.
DJs.
The DJ lounge. Oh, yeah.
That was the sleaziest of the sleaziest, but it was a great time
That place was a good time.
I had 4 or 5 places back then that were like that I played in. Not in Taunton either. Some of them were in other towns.
Well, I think the fact that it was kind of a sleazy joint is what made it so fun.
Well, it was all guys from Whittington that I grew up with in the Catholic school, like we talked about that. It was all those guys. They were all drunks. So that was the part of town we lived in at the time, and they were still there going in the bar.
But it was
night.
great. Hey, it was fun.
Oh.
And again, like I had talked about in the previous episode, like it's that small town feel. Everybody knows everybody.
But it was a place where I could, even with an acoustic, the drum machine's rolling, and I was standing up on chairs playing guitar and stuff.
Now, when you look back at that, so like, How do you feel about that? Like, was that a good time for you?
Yeah, it was just something I did. I was bringing home money. I was having some
I mean,
fun.
it wasn't long after. I mean, it was maybe a few years.
Yeah, but I did it for like 10 years or so.
Well, I'm saying, like, you had just remarried. You weren't married for that long.
Well, I was playing solo for really 15 because the last 5 years of Destiny, I was doing that too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, it's like, I was around for just Destiny, but I do have also a lot of memories of you going out and playing by yourself.
Well, I started carrying a drum machine. The reason I did, because I was playing at a place called Starbucks. It was a restaurant called Starbucks.
Oh, it's like before the franchise?
Yeah, but it was 132 in Hyannis down the Cape.
Yeah.
And the manager, Mike Sives, he would come by, and I'd be playing with no machine or anything, and he would just hold up a piece of paper going, upbeat. Like he'd want something more upbeat. So the next time I went to the gig, I brought a drum machine, and I was playing rock songs, and I go, how's that? Is that upbeat enough for you?
Well, I remember people would always come up to you and request songs.
And then he drew a picture of a thumbs up and put it in front of me while I was playing.
Yeah, it's funny. I think, like, when you see a guy playing out by himself, people get hammered, and they think, this guy knows the song that I want to hear.
Yeah, a lot of times I did.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. People will ask for stuff. You'll be like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I do.
It's
it happens a lot.
Yeah.
You just got to grab onto the stuff and as much as you can of what you want to do. And I got friends in Taunton still doing it right now.
I mean, you were good enough, too, that even if you didn't know it, you could fake it through the whole thing.
The last
and
couple of years before I left the hometown there were 3 or 4 of us that were playing the same 3 or 4 restaurants in a rotation and started to get real, boring because it was
the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and we would get paid and just go home. But,
But it was money.
But, it was just something to do to make some money at that time. I still got to play what I wanted, had a good time, but, I would just bring the home money and buy food or whatever. You know.
So, I don't know where this actually fits into the timeline, but I remember you went to Tennessee. Was it Tennessee?
Oh, that was in
Nashville?
1992.
Now, I remember you kind of had this dream that you were going to go out there and, basically that was, your real hard push to, try to make it.
Well, I wanted to go down to the Bluebird and try to play some of my originals, but I had a lady, she was a publisher, talk to me a little bit. Nothing came out of it, But I ended up just going around the town playing all the open mics and getting to meet other musicians. You go down to Nashville, the guy pumping your gas probably has a song that's on the radio.
Well, they say Nashville is full of musicians.
Well, they would probably sell a song to somebody. The guy doing that probably has a song somebody bought off of him that's playing on the radio.
So what was that? I mean, what was that experience really like, though? You went down. How long were you there?
About a week.
Yeah. Were you happy you did it?
Well, what happened was I had an audition on a show called the Be a Star Show. But it was like one of them America's Got Talent
like
things.
Star Search deal?
And I did the audition, and I wasn't feeling it. And they didn't choose me, so that was kind of a good thing in a way because I didn't really want to. And then I just went to the Bluebirds.
Well,
I'm going to play where the songwriters play one night. And I went down there, and I was the first one in the afternoon waiting in line. But they didn't know they had a lottery, and you pick names and you pick numbers. If I had known, I wouldn't have been the first one in line, but I got in anyway.
Yeah, that's something I'd never heard a story of. I didn't know you went down there to try to be on a show. But I never heard the story about you trying to be on a Star Search type show.
Me and my late wife Donna, we drove down to Nashville.
I didn't know Donna went with you.
Yeah, we drove all the way.
Oh, no shit.
From Massachusetts.
No fucking kidding. I never knew she went with you.
Honestly, we drove all the way from Massachusetts.
That's a long drive.
And it was fun. We had a good time. And, we made it into a little vacation for us, too.
Yeah.
And
this wasn't long after you guys had been married. I mean, it's a few years, but...
No, I wasn't even married yet. It was only
you weren't married yet?
We were only together about 6 months.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And weird stuff would happen. I would go by, and there would be this really sad couple of guys playing in front of the Elvis Museum. Mm-hmm. They weren't very good. So they were playing for tips to get for money to eat and stuff. So I said, I'm going to get down there, and I'm going to play a little bit with them. So I went and played, and people came over and heard me playing with the drummer and bass player and everything, and they started putting money in the bucket. I filled up the bucket with a bunch of money, and I said, here you go, guys, and I just leave. And every time I walk by, hey, come over here, do a song with it,
I'm like, no, I got to go.
And it went on and on all week long. About 4 days out of that week, I did that.
That's really cool. I always tell people about how my dad went to Nashville to play music. I think that's cool.
Yeah, well, my wife was like, "Oh, Jesus, there they are, not again." Right? It was fun. I played a place called the Stagecoach. It was open mic night. You played there, but you played with like a 16-piece country band. They had pedal steel,
Yeah,
violins.
you weren't really a country guy.
Pedal steel, violins, horns.
Yeah.
And it was cool.
Yeah, I know you learned a few country songs.
I didn't
here and
really
there
like
over
that.
the years.
No,
yeah,
it wasn't for
your
me,
scene.
but it didn't matter in Nashville. If you were a songwriter, you could be any type.
Well,
It
yeah,
didn't
they
matter.
say all kinds of people go down there.
Yeah.
You know,
I just never really got anything out of it.
I'm not real big into country music myself. I do like mostly kind of like that era of like the late, or not the late, but like the 90s era before it switched over to like beats and rap
in
music.
1992, when I went there, country music wasn't that big, really. It wasn't.
Well,
like
and it wasn't like it is now.
It was big, but it wasn't like today.
But I'm saying I like that older, like Trace Adkins, like the Garth Brooks stuff, like the
What's
older.
wrong with the stuff today?
It's not.
Is a generic backtrack.
It's
for the
not
song.
country music.
Well, it's a generic backtrack for whatever song they do.
Yeah, but it's
the
not
same-
it's not country music. Country music was made by working class people
Yeah.
with instruments. You
But
know
what they do is they bring a guy in the studio and they just have backtracks that they use that are very common.
Well, you know what happened is that the same thing that happens to just about every other music happened in the country industry, where they were like, we just want a pretty face that'll be put on an
That's
act.
what's going on.
Yeah, it sucks.
But like I said, the back music they're using, it's all very similar. They just insert a different musician.
It's all like 808 beats and stuff. I
Yeah,
don't-
they insert a musician to do his particular song with the same background.
Well, like I said, because it's a pageant now.
There's not a lot of.
Oh, he's really trying to get a hold of you.
But he can suck it. But I just told him I was doing something.
Yeah, that's Uncle O.
An idiot.
Yeah,
You know, but he's like a brother to me, but he's a dope.
yeah, it's
But
Uncle O. He's crazy. You lost your train of thought.
No, it's
Fucking
the whole
Uncle O.
country thing was like,
It's different.
it's not really what you want to do now. I
Yeah.
mean, you want to do it so you can be very popular, but
Yeah.
if you're looking for any kind of musical,
But like the last episode, we talked about how like the Monkees were through together, kind of like as
and
a
that
boy
was the
band.
same thing.
It's the same
but-
thing they're doing now. They're like, oh, you can sing a little bit. Well, auto tune the
Yeah,
rest.
exactly. And well, they do that, you know.
I know, and
Well,
then they're
these
like, "Hey,
guys-
you're just really good looking. People will want to buy your stuff."
Well, that's
And-
what happens.
Well, that's a tragedy because you know what? Hank Williams is turning over in his grave
Oh,
over
God,
this.
yeah.
You know, like those old classic people, they're not. They would not be okay with this, and it's a tragedy because country music now has taken a wrong turn.
Well, I just saw a movie about a guy named Hank Garland.
Yeah, you were telling
He
me
was
about
the greatest guitar player in country music, but he had problems.
that. Yeah,
And
a lot
the
of them
story
old
is
guys
sad,
did.
but this guy was like blew everyone away.
Yeah.
He was like, but that was a real era of country music.
I'm a big fan of I like Brad Paisley. Brad Paisley's
that was still good music.
Brad Paisley's an amazing guitar
in the
player.
middle 2000s, they were still putting out really good country music.
Yeah, well, Brad Paisley. Yeah, but Brad Paisley is like he's an incredible guitar player. You know, he's
But this guy was like that.
like he's like a virtuoso. Like he does stuff that other country artists are
Yeah.
not going to be able
This
to
guy
do.
was doing that like he did in the 50s,
Yeah,
but it was good.
so that's cool. All right, so you went to Nashville. Nothing really panned out. You
No,
know,
no,
but
I mean-
but the experience had to be really cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We
Yeah.
had a good time. I went and we played all these places. And
Did it ever suck the dream out of you to be like, I don't really?
no,
know if I
it
can
just
do this?
wasn't what I was going to do, and I
Yeah.
went home and just kept playing with Destiny.
Was there ever a time in your musical career where you were like, I want to be famous. I want to make it.
No, I tried recording with this place up in Boston. They ended up ripping me off, and we're going to do stuff. It never panned out, so that was the end of that.
This is like we were talking about off mic. It's always this
so
is
if somebody wants to record you and say you got to pay so much money,
Yeah.
and never do that
yeah.
because that's.
I think that's how it works now. You got to pay by the hour.
Yeah, but if you want, no, I mean. Not by that, but I'm saying they're going to give so much, and we're going to do this shape and mold you. We're going to make you
Oh,
somebody.
yeah, fuck
If
that.
they tell you that, leave the place
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah. Well, you want to go in and do